Have you ever felt the silence scream louder than any noise? Have you stood at the edge of your life and realized you're not who you used to be and you'll never be again? This isn't a poetic crisis. This is the brutal clarity that only comes when the illusions finally fall. There comes a night when everything stops. The world quiets, the distractions fade, and suddenly you're alone with the weight of everything left unsaid, undone, unfelt. It's not a midlife breakdown. It's not some dramatic phase. It's a moment of awakening, raw, honest, unforgiving. The exact moment you realize youth has left the room and the version of you that once carried hope like a flag, he's not coming back. Now, your knees click when you get up. The energy that used to flood your mornings now trickles like a dry stream. The mirror shows a survivor, someone who's made it through battles, heartbreaks, disappointments, but never paused to honor the survival. You gave and gave to people who only knew how to take. You silenced your inner voice just to keep others comfortable. But that comfort, it's crumbling, thin as cracked glass in your palms. And here's the truth that should scare them. You're not broken. You're awakening. You've seen too much to be naive now. You're no longer guessing. You know. Marcus Aurelius once murmured across time, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." At 20, it's just a quote. But at 40, 50, it punches different. It doesn't sit on a Pinterest board. It lands like a thunderclap. Because now, death isn't abstract. You feel it in your body. The stiff joints, the aching back, the appointments that now end in long silences. You feel it in the echoing emptiness of rooms that once overflowed with laughter. Time no longer drips. It races. You begin to sense your own end circling like a vulture, and it terrifies you. But it also frees you. Because this isn't a soft motivational whisper. This is a declaration. This is your turning point, your line in the sand. This is me, grabbing you by the soul and shaking you awake from the fog. You've called a life. You're not just tired, you're exhausted. But you're not done. You showed up late to the battlefield, but the war's not over. And now you fight like your life is on the line. Because it is. So, let me speak to this forgotten warrior inside you. The one who once had fire in their fists and clarity in their soul. The one who became numb, buried in the routine. The man who gave away too much. The woman who kept everything together while quietly falling apart. You, the one who stood silently as your dreams were drowned out by everything that never truly mattered. That silence ends now. From this moment on, you protect what remains like a lion guarding its last cub. You protect your time like it's gold, your peace like it's air, your power, because no one is coming to return it. You all have to claw it back from the teeth of everything that stole it from you. And what I'm about to share with you next, it isn't soft. This isn't a list of suggestions. These are weapons, real tools forged in fire, hardened by pain, betrayal, and hard-earned wisdom. 7 of them, each one carved from the bone of real suffering. You've just been handed the weapons. Now it's time to learn how to use them, one by one, precisely, powerfully. Each of these was forged, not to comfort you, but to sharpen you. To make the second half of your life strike deeper, harder, and clearer than the first ever could. Let this message cut through the numbness. Let it tear down the lies you've told yourself. Let it shake you awake from the sleepwalk you've been calling a life. Because if you skip this, If you scroll past and shrug it off, you may never come back. This could be your only chance to truly wake up. And when you do, when something inside you reignites, when the forgotten fire in your chest begins to burn again, I want you to write just one line in the comments. I will protect my peace, my purpose, and my future. Now sit still, breathe deep. We begin. 1. Learn to outgrow people without needing to announce it. There was a time they were your person, the one who knew the ache behind your eyes, who held your pain without needing words. You walked through heartbreaks together, shared shattered dreams over cheap drinks, promised forever in the middle of nights that felt infinite. But nostalgia doesn't stop the clock. And time. Time doesn't care how golden the past felt. What once felt like home now feels like a haunted room. And you keep walking back in, hoping the ghosts have forgotten how to whisper. But they haven't. You've evolved. They haven't. And now every conversation feels like a translation, your growth trying to speak to someone who only speaks your past. They laugh about how you've changed, as if that's a defect. They mock your stillness, guilt you for your boundaries, and call your distance a betrayal. But what they're really saying is simple. Your evolution makes them uncomfortable. The version of you they once could predict is gone. And now they don't know how to control what they can't define. This is where Stoicism speaks loudest in silence. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." In other words, don't match their bitterness. Don't offer a dramatic exit or some final speech. The Stoic path? It's colder, calmer, stronger. You just leave quietly. You keep growing. You leave the door unlocked, but you never look back. Stoicism isn't about controlling others. It's about mastering yourself. And part of that mastery means this: you do not owe your former life an explanation for why you stopped dimming your light just to fit inside its shadows. Carrying relationships that have already rotted out of guilt is not noble. That's not loyalty. That's emotional self-harm. A Stoic understands this deeply. If someone costs you your peace, then they've already cost too much. You are not cruel for choosing silence. You are not arrogant for building boundaries. You are not cold for refusing to bleed for those who fear your brightness. Marcus wasn't forged by applause. He was built in solitude, refined by discipline, and you must be too. You don't need validation to walk alone. The silence may sting, but remember, grief is the tax we pay for growth. You've taken the first step, learning to walk away without apology. Now comes the next, guarding what's sacred inside you with the strength of a warrior who's finally remembered who he is. You will mourn who they once were. That's natural. But you'll never miss who you had to become just to keep them. Let go with grace, not anger. Walk away like a warrior leaving a battlefield already conquered, calm, steady, complete, no hate, no fireworks, just stillness, because you have a legacy to write. And your energy, your ink, your time, it's far too precious to waste explaining why certain people didn't make the final chapter. Let the past close itself. Now turn the page. 2. Stop apologizing for protecting your boundaries. There was a time you set yourself on fire to keep others warm. When you said yes with a trembling voice, while every part of your soul screamed no. When your face smiled politely, even as your spirit cracked behind your eyes. You bent, you broke. You reshaped yourself into whatever version they could accept. Just to keep the peace. Just to avoid the sting of conflict, just to be the nice one. You thought being liked was the same as being safe. That being needed meant you mattered. But all it really did was empty you out. You gave away your time like loose change. You swallowed your truth when you should have drawn your sword. And little by little, piece by piece, you abandoned yourself so subtly, so silently, that one day you looked in the mirror and saw a stranger. And for what? To keep a false kind of peace? That wasn't peace. That was emotional slavery dressed up in the costume of kindness. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If someone proves me wrong, I will gladly change, for I seek truth, and truth never harmed anyone." But let's be clear, truth without self-honor, it's useless. And the truth is this: you weren't born to be everyone's emotional dumping ground. You weren't placed here to be liked. You were meant to burn with purpose, live with clarity, and protect the line that no one gets to cross. Let them call you selfish. Let them say you've changed. That's what people do when they can no longer feed off your silence. They're not angry at your boundary. They're afraid of your awakening. Because now you see clearly. You see who only showed up when your yes was free. You see who grows quiet the moment you choose yourself. This is where Stoicism becomes your armor. You don't need to explain your standards to people who never respected them in the first place. You don't have to justify your limits to those who always thrived on your lack of them. You owe no one an apology for guarding your soul. What you do owe is to yourself, the version of you that no longer trembles at the thought of saying no, the version who no longer mistakes guilt for love, the one who understands that boundaries aren't walls, they are doors with locks, and not everyone deserves a key. And if that line in the sand costs you a relationship, let it burn. Because anything real, anything rooted in truth, will not be destroyed by self-respect. It will be fortified by it. Let your no thunder through your life. Let it shake loose the fake love and the false peace. You've spent years trying to be digestible, small, agreeable. It's time to be undeniable. You've stopped apologizing for drawing the line. Now it's time to honor the one thing that will carry you through everything, the body you've been silently betraying. Tartars, take care of your body like it's the last house you'll ever live in. Your future is sacred ground. Guard it like your life depends on it, because it does. For years you've outrun the warnings. You slept through the sirens. You laughed off the tightness in your joints, the shortness of breath, the fatigue that came too early in the day. You treated your body like it was indestructible, like it would never rust, like it would keep showing up for you no matter how recklessly you treated it. You fed it junk, robbed it of rest. You buried it beneath excuses, numbed it with screens, neglected it in favor of everything else. And for a long time, it stayed silent, loyal, forgiving. But that silence, it's gone. Because after 40, your body stops whispering. It begins to scream. Your knees snap like branches. Your heart thumps like a warning drum. Your breath shortens without effort. And your eyes? They hold the tiredness of 1,000 mornings spent putting everything and everyone else first. This is no longer a gentle nudge. It's a bill, and it's due. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You must build up your life action by action, not with words, not with intentions, but with movement, with sweat, with discipline. Your body isn't just a shell, it's the foundation, the temple, the vessel of your soul. And you've been treating it like a hotel room, something temporary, something you can trash and leave behind. But this isn't a short stay. This is your final address. There is no upgrade, no spare model waiting in the wings. You've still got chapters to write, moments to live that will require strength, presence, and vitality. And that shoulder pain, that gut fatigue, the way you lose your breath just walking up a flight of stairs, that's your future waving a red flag, begging you to wake the hell up. This isn't about abs or aesthetics anymore. It's about staying alive long enough to matter. It's about mental clarity born from physical discipline. It's about the force in your voice when your lungs are strong, the fire in your purpose when your spine stands tall, the energy that surges through you when your blood moves like thunder, not sludge. You don't need a gym, you need grit. Just one push-up, one stretch that untangles the knots you've ignored, one single choice, water instead of poison. Then do it again tomorrow, and again, and again. Because this body, it's not just skin and bone. It's carrying your legacy, your children, your future, and it cannot keep dragging around your neglect like a corpse in chains. Would you sleep soundly in a house that was on fire? Then why live in a body that's collapsing under your watch? Reclaim it, rebuild it, respect it. Because what comes next will demand everything it can give you. You've reclaimed your body, the vessel of your future. Now it's time to protect something just as vital, your voice, your truth, your peace, from those who were never meant to hold it. Train like your breath depends on it, because it does. Move like your purpose is on the line, because it is. Eat like your heart is listening, because every heartbeat is begging you to choose differently. This isn't just self-care. This is your war cry, a battle for your future, and your body is the battlefield. 4. Stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Have you noticed it? The harder you try to be understood, the more they twist your words, bend your intentions, and throw your truth back at you like a weapon. You speak from your soul. They call it weakness. You set a boundary. They label it cruelty. You share your honest fire, and they call it drama. But what they're really saying is this: I liked you better when you didn't have a spine. And that's when Stoicism speaks like a sword. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." This path, it's not about persuading others to see you clearly. It's about becoming the truth and living it, even when they flinch, even when they turn away, even when your clarity threatens their comfort. You were never supposed to spend your life starring in someone else's courtroom drama. For years, you bent yourself into versions they could tolerate. You softened your edges, filtered your thoughts, watered down your brilliance just to be palatable. But now, no more. After 40, the veil falls. You see things as they are. You're no longer here to apologize for your truth or to justify the fire inside you. You're not here to dim your passion just to keep them comfortable. Their misunderstanding is no longer your burden. And here's the truth that hits hardest. You are not responsible for their broken lens. You're not a character in their narrative. You're not a puppet on strings of their confusion. After 40, silence becomes a strength, not a weakness. It's your new armor, because when you stop explaining yourself, you start owning yourself. That quiet you've been afraid of, it's not emptiness, it's power waiting to be claimed. So let them talk. Let them misinterpret. Let them chase a version of you that no longer exists. You're not their emotional outlet. You're not their project. You're not here to absorb their projections or carry the weight of their expectations. You're here to build, to create, to be, and you have every right to walk away without fanfare, without guilt, without explanation. You have the right to be misunderstood. You have the right to evolve without their applause, to leave without their permission, to live without their validation. If they can't see the real you, let them keep talking to the ghost of who they think you are, because your life, it's not a debate. It's a declaration. And now it's time to stop shouting into a void that was never meant to echo you back, and start focusing on the one thing that changes everything, your focus itself. You've stopped justifying your existence to people who never truly listened. Now it's time to master the one space that reveals everything, the silence within. 5. Make solitude your superpower, not your punishment. There was a time when the thought of being alone sent your soul into a spiral. Empty rooms felt suffocating. Quiet weekends turned into battlegrounds of doubt and fear. You'd reach for anything, noise, people, distractions, just to keep the silence from swallowing you whole. You weren't escaping boredom. You were fleeing something far deeper, the storm inside you. But then something shifted, slowly, through pain, through time, through truth. And in that stillness, you discovered the most terrifying thing wasn't the loneliness itself. It was the absence of you, the disconnection from your own essence. That's when it became clear. Solitude was never your enemy. It was your greatest weapon. Marcus Aurelius said, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." You spent years surrounded by noise, other people's opinions, expectations, their judgments all thundering, louder than your own inner voice. You mistook validation for connection, approval for worth. But here's the truth. When you lose the ability to hear yourself, you're not living, you're drifting. Yet, when you sit alone, in the dark, in the silence, something primal awakens. That's when your soul roars. That's when you finally stop running. You face the shadows you tried to bury, old wounds, long silenced desires, unspoken truths. The raw, unfiltered you begins to emerge. No more masks, no more roles, just you and the truth you've been avoiding. Solitude doesn't break you. It builds you. It doesn't weaken. It sharpens like steel meeting stone. It scrapes off the iashkamis noise. It burns off the false identities. And what's left is something powerful, something real. Solitude teaches you to be at home in your own skin, to breathe without chaos, to exist without clinging to others for identity. It unhooks you from the illusion that the world needs to see you for you to matter, because real power isn't found in being surrounded. It's found when you're alone and still whole. After 40, something changes. You stop chasing popularity. You stop needing the spotlight. What you start chasing instead is power, quiet, internal, unshakable. And that kind of power, it grows in the moments no one sees, no applause, no eyes, just you standing raw and unhidden. So take the walk, alone. Read the book, in silence. Put the phone down. Let the noise die. Because in that silence, something stronger than comfort is born. Clarity, and when you embrace solitude, you're finally ready to face what most people never will. Your fear of starting over. Solitude stripped away the noise and reintroduced you to your real self. Now comes the hardest part, releasing the person you no longer are. Twin Pikes, let go of old versions of yourself that no longer survive. In this chapter of your life, you may still be clinging to the ghost of who you once were, the people pleaser, the one who bent until they broke, just to make others comfortable, the one who stayed quiet, not because they had nothing to say, but because conflict felt like danger, the version of you who sacrificed authenticity for approval, the one who wore a smile to hide the suffocation. That version, it had a role once, it helped you survive, but its purpose has expired. It's no longer saving you, it's stalling you. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Right now, the obstacle is you, the outdated version of yourself you keep dragging forward, hoping it'll somehow still work. The pacifier, the doormat, the silent sufferer. But the truth is brutal. That identity is standing directly in the path of your greatness. It's time to bury it. You don't owe anyone your old self. What you do owe is the courage to evolve, even when it feels like loss. Because here's the raw truth. After 40, growth doesn't feel like a celebration. It feels like a funeral. You'll mourn who you used to be. You'll hear whispers from the past trying to pull you back into the comfort zone. You'll feel the ache of the familiar, the safety of silence, of people-pleasing, of being the one who never made waves. But butterflies don't apologize for destroying their cocoons, and neither should you. You've outgrown your past. You're no longer that person, and you can't go back. The hobbies that once lit you up now leave you restless. The friendships that used to anchor you now feel hollow. The lifestyle that once numbed your pain now suffocates your purpose. It's time to let it all go. You owe no one your old identity. You are under no obligation to remain the same just because others are comfortable with a version of you that's expired. Yes, change is messy. It's uncomfortable. It feels like tearing off old skin and walking out exposed. It's awkward. It's raw. But do you know what's worse than discomfort? Pretending to be someone you no longer are. That's not just painful, it's a death sentence. And some people, they won't know how to handle the new you. They'll cling to their memories. They'll try to hold you to the expectations they crafted before you outgrew your cage. Let them say you've changed, because you have. That's the point. You're not here to fit in. You're here to forge something new, to build a life so rooted in truth that anything fake, anything performative, feels like betrayal. And once you've shed the old skin, there's only one thing left: protecting the fire you've built from ever being dimmed again. You've shed the skin of who you used to be. You've let go of the past. Now it's time to stop giving your precious time to people who never deserved it in the first place. Stop begging for time from those who treat you like an option. No more just surviving. No more shrinking into versions of yourself just to keep others comfortable. You are not here to entertain expectations. You're here to become, and the person you're becoming, they won't be recognizable to the one you used to be, or to anyone who can't keep up. If you're still chasing someone's attention, if you're the one sending the first text, always making the plans, constantly bending, reshuffling, compromising, just for a sliver of their time, then you've already lost something far more valuable than their affection, your dignity. What do you get in return? Cold replies, half-baked excuses, silence dressed up as busy. Marcus Aurelius warned us clearly, It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Stop wasting yours. As you age, time shifts. It becomes sacred, priceless. And one of the hardest truths to swallow is this: you've poured years into people who never saw your worth. People who made you feel like a background character in your own story. People who made you question if you were too much or not enough. Let's be clear. You are not hard to love. They are just not capable of loving at the depth you offer. That's not your failure. That's their limitation. You are not an afterthought. You are not someone's maybe. You are not a seasonal convenience or a placeholder they return to when it suits them. You are a priority. And if they can't recognize that, then they do not deserve your minutes, your energy, or your presence. The ones who are real. They don't make you beg. They don't keep you in the shadows. They show up because they understand something the rest never did. Your time is a luxury. So stop chasing. Stop pleading. When you finally stop running after crumbs, something radical happens. You start attracting the entire feast. You don't beg for time. You choose where your time goes. You don't chase people. You elevate your circle. And here's a truth that will hurt before it heals. When someone's always too busy for you, their actions are saying more than their words ever will. Believe them, their excuses. That's just code for you're not a priority. You're just a distraction, a backup plan, something convenient when they're bored or lonely. But you're done with crumbs. You're done with proving your worth. You're done with chasing people who have no idea how to hold something real, because now the only thing you chase is purpose. And that's exactly where we're heading next. Not just surviving people, but becoming the architect of a life on your own terms. Let's bring it home. Once you stop begging for time, you remember who you are, not someone chasing value, but someone who is the value. You stop accepting half-hearted effort. You stop shrinking into someone's backup plan. And you start living like the priority you were always meant to be. You want respect, you want love, then make yourself unavailable to those who refuse to offer it. Because the moment you stop chasing people, a powerful truth rises. You are the time. You are the presence they should be craving. You are the fire they should be making room for. You're not too old. You're just finally seeing clearly, clearer about who you are, clearer about what actually matters, clearer about the boundaries you were once afraid to set, and now you own them. This journey, it's not about age, it's about wisdom. And real wisdom doesn't arrive in whispers. It crashes in through scars, failures, heartbreak, and healing. These 7 rules, they're not inspirational quotes. They're weapons, forged in silence, sharpened by betrayal, hardened in the spent fire of your experience. They are your armor. They are your battle cries. Not for a perfect life, but for a real one. A life lived with raw, unapologetic authenticity. The kind that doesn't ask permission. The kind that shakes the room. So if this hit you where it needed to, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Let someone else feel the fire that lit something in you. And when you're ready for more, come back. Because we're not here just to grow. We're here to rise, to reclaim, to dominate. Your future is no longer just waiting. It's calling you out. And the only way to honor it is to show up boldly, one unshakable truth at a time. Because this isn't just a video. This is your line in the sand. And now you step forward.